how's it going? Susan Ruth here. Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Human Podcast. This is episode 247, and I had a conversation with my friend Navaris Darson. He is a friend of mine, and we met in acting class, which is the most LA thing I've ever said, but it's true. And we had a conversation that went all over the place, really. We talked about his acting. We talked about hypnotherapy. We talked about having one's heart broken and dating and where he grew up, all sorts of things. It was a really good conversation. He has been in some things that you have seen, I'm sure of it, or have likely seen. He's been in Two Broke Girls, American Horror Story, a show called Home, Will and Grace, host of other things. Really great comic timing, wonderful actor. I would be in class in awe of him, to be honest. Just so good. And we got to be friends, and I just find him delightful. So now you get to discover him, and it's a fun conversation. Other news, the thing I watched this week that I completely flipped over, my friend Ellen told me I had to watch it, and I did, and wow. It is incredible. It's called In and of Itself. It's a one-man show by Derek Delgadio. And I don't want you to look it up as to what it's about. It's such an experience that to have that opportunity to see it in real time without knowing anything ahead of time, I think is a real joy. I went into it without knowing anything, and I'm so happy I did it that way. It's extraordinary. I cried, of course, because I'm a crier, but it's beautiful. It really is. I could not recommend it more, and thank you to Ellen for telling me to watch it because, wow, it's really something. So much of the show reminds me of how I feel about this show and what I'm aiming for with this show. So I really did feel a kinship with it. And if you're listening to this show, then I guarantee you will like it. It's on Hulu. And again, it's called In and of Itself. Definitely watch it. In other news, social media, Hey Human Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me, Susan Ruthism, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can go to susanruth.com to find more information about me in general, including my artwork and my music and anything I might be up to in the moment. And of course, the heyhumanpodcast.com website is where you're going to find the links page where I have information about every episode, my guests and what they're talking about, or if they have books, or we talk about articles or things that we don't know or whatever. I do the research and I stick it on the links page. So definitely check that out. There is a storefront where you can buy Hey Human merchandise. Please do that. It supports the show. Rate and review Hey Human on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And, I almost forgot. If you go on susanruth.com, there's a mailing list there. You can sign up for the mailing list, and I send out a mailer about every 4 or 5 months. I said I was going to do one this week, and I didn't, so I'm a big fat liar. But what are you going to do? Things happen. So I have not done that, but I promise there is one coming. I have been writing notes as to what I want to put in the mailer, so that should count for something, I think. That's about it as far as the usual stuff. Thank you for listening. Stay safe. As I always say, please stay safe. Be well, be kind. And we're getting through this, and hang on. I know we're all in different states of being, and please stick around. Some people I know have made choices not to stick around, and I tell you, it's important to stick around because we need you. We really do. And I mean, I know it's tough in a moment, but there's a moment after that moment, and there's another moment after that moment, and that could maybe be where the greatest moment is for you. And please, I want you to find that out. So stick around. Okay. That was a tangent, but it was important for me to say. Here we go. And I love you. Let's do this. Navaris Darson, welcome to Hey Human.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm really excited.
I have no idea what to expect, so I'm just open to be.
Best way to be, I promise.
Great.
We met in an acting class. That is the first time we met, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which in the Graham Shields acting class, but with Crystal's class, I think. Or did we actually meet in Graham's?
I love
session?
Crystal. Yeah, we met in the introductory session with Graham, and then we both ended up in Crystal's class. What
a fantastic group of teachers, of educators. I mean, I know acting people, it's coaches, but I still consider them educators.
Yeah.
They're really fantastic. And man, you are phenomenal. There was a few people in the class, because I'm brand new to this craft. And there are a few people where I thought, okay, if this is great. I love it when I can learn from my peers too. You know?
That's really sweet. I appreciate you saying that.
You have great comic timing, which I love.
I was born with it. You got to be born with it.
Not Maybelline.
It's not Maybelline. You can't buy it. You either come into this industry and you're ready for it, or you don't even bother. No.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I took a lot of classes.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll get to all that stuff. That's not the focus. The first focus is where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Fayetteville, Georgia.
Down south.
Yeah, but I've been in LA for 15 years. So it feels just as much as home as Georgia does.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm from the burbs.
Yeah. And growing up, did you close family, not close family?
I had a great family. My mom and my dad were lovely. I didn't get along with my little brother very much. We fought a lot, but that's like normal sibling stuff. And I had an older half brother. We became closer later in life.
What did you and your little brother fight about?
And like looking back on it, it was just like almost different ways of communicating. Like I was more of a reader and like more of like book smart, and like I think he's very smart, but I love to read books. I was very like artistic and creative, and he was more like Power Rangers and fighting and punching things. And so like if I maybe said something that might have been like insensitive, I wouldn't think of it as starting the fight, but he would. And if he hit me, I would think of it as starting the fight. So I think we both didn't understand just like what triggered the other person. And so we just have like stupid petty arguments about like who got to watch TV and so forth.
Sure. Are you close now?
No, we're not. No, I think he's mad at me since November or something, but like it's out of my control. And I don't lose sleep over other people's drama.
Is your family conservative, or are they more on the liberal side, would you say?
Politically, we're liberal.
The whole fam?
Yeah, but we lived a very conservative life in the religious sense.
How do you mean? Expand on that.
Just like deep South, Christian morals. Like I don't drink. My parents don't drink. I don't cuss like outside of acting. I just have no desire to. But yeah, we vote Democrat. And like I am like full on progressive right now. Like burn it all down and build a new
system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious, did you pursue the creative arts then in high school, was it starting even sooner than that, maybe back in junior high?
For as long as I can remember, I loved to be creative. Like I used to write stories when I was a kid. I used to draw. I used to like sing songs constantly. I joined the gospel choir. My parents made me actually in the 5th grade, but I loved it. And then in middle school, I was in the chorus, and I was torn because I really loved drawing and I really loved singing. And when I got to high school, I couldn't do both. I could only have one elective. So I had to make a choice. And I feel like it really like almost put my life on 2 different tracks. I chose chorus, which I believe made me more outgoing because I'm an introvert by nature. But chorus led me to drama, and that eventually became my career.
It's interesting how many shy people go into pursuits where they are front and center.
Oh, I remember in middle school, there was like, I think talk of a play or something. And I was like, I could never do that. I was like, I can't know, because I was like chubby and I stuttered and I wore glasses and I had braces, and I was like, oh, I could never know. Like actors are like Denzel Washington and Brad Pitt. I can never do that.
You showed them. The stuttering thing, did it start off not as bad and got worse? Was it brought on by stress, or how did that come to be?
Started when I was young. I took speech therapy classes for it, and it was weird because I didn't have a problem with it, but like people would point it out as if I didn't realize that I'd stuttered, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm very much aware that I couldn't say that word for the past minute, but thank you. But I wasn't as saucy as I am now. I just was like, I just frowned. And then it comes and goes, really. Like it used to bother me more when I was a kid, and I've accepted it as a part of who I am. And like, it happens when I teach sometimes, and I don't even think about it.
But it doesn't come out in your acting. I've seen you perform several scenes where one would never know. When
I sing and when I act, it doesn't happen. Maybe because I'm playing a different character. Like it's very personal to me.
I've heard that a lot, actually, with people who have a stutter, that when they are performing, I should say with performers, that when they perform as an actor or a singer, that it doesn't show up. And that is always fascinating. It makes me wonder where, I haven't done any research on stuttering. It makes me wonder where in the part of the language center.
Yeah.
I know it must be in the language center, but where that disconnect, that from, I have this thing here when I'm talking and does not exist when I'm giving a, 5-page speech. Fascinating.
Maybe it's almost like, I knew that as a kid, I struggled with the feelings of not being seen and heard, which kind of, it's been a theme throughout my life in different ways. But like when you're acting and singing, like they're going to see you and listen to you. Like I don't have to fight for it. It's like, I have an audience. So maybe just like a subtle thing of like, just knowing that I have permission to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't know technically like what goes on in the mind that makes it.
Did you have an idea of who you were as a person growing up in a family that was, as you said, more conservative as far as religion and stuff? Because obviously, eventually, you realized like what your sexuality is and all that stuff. And in a super hyper religious family, that might not be okay. Was that part of it, or was it accepted in your family?
I think I always felt like an outsider, even as a kid, because I didn't have homosexual urges when I was a kid. Oh yeah, surprise listeners, I'm gay. No, I didn't have any homosexual urges as a kid. But I was sensitive. That was the word that kept being thrown around. It was like, oh, you're really sensitive. You're too sensitive. And I was into like stuff that girls liked, and I love the color pink, but I couldn't tell people that I love the color pink. I had to like lie about it. And so there was this feeling of like having to like hide myself to be safe very early on. But I never succumbed to it. Succumb feels right. Neither word is appropriate.
Succumb to it. Yes. But I like succumb.
Succumb. I'm trying to get it. It's been a long
time since I've succumbed. I don't know about you.
I'm really trying to get that going. No one else is picking it up, but I'm really trying to get it out there. Succumbed to it. Because I always I think, which is rare. Like I've always eventually ended up being true to my authentic self. So even I think the biggest moment of incongruency was when I realized I was homosexual, because it was a sharp contrast between my religious beliefs and like who I was becoming. And it was something that I suffered with alone for like 4 years, because I was afraid to tell my parents, and like praying for God to take it away. And it took me years to like really embrace that authentic part of myself. So it's like I always kind of known who I am. I haven't always been able to embrace it right away at times, but I feel like eventually I get there.
How old were you when you started having those feelings that you realized that?
Oh, I remember. Like I was 14.
Oh, okay.
The weirdest thing is that, so my mom's a twin, and her twin was killed in a violent incident when I was 13, the summer before I turned 14.
Oh.
And after he used to play the piano, And like later it came out that he was bisexual. And like at the summer after he died is when I started playing the piano, is when I suddenly had homosexual like urges. It was almost like this weird passing of the baton. Because I was sensitive, but like I was actually wanting a girlfriend through college because I think I was culturally indoctrinated to believe that like I would marry a Black woman. So I had crushes on Black women and I wanted to marry a Black woman because that's what I was taught. That's what I was taught. But then I was like, oh, I like guys too now. This is very confusing. But it started when I was 14. I remember the night it happened.
What happened?
Intense. You know, you have like scrambled porn channels.
Sure.
Like, I was just like, like you've heard of those, great.
Sure.
I was flipping.
You're like, oh, I think I saw a nipple.
That's the thing. Like I am such a romantic. I'm so pure. Like like most teenagers like want about sex, no desire whatsoever. So I was just like flipping through channels and I passed one and this urge to see like a male penis came up and I was like, that's weird. But it was like a fever. I have to see this, and I couldn't see anything. The channel was completely scrambled. But I remember it was just like it was terrifying at the same time because I had never had that feeling before, and then it just never went away. I guess.
How old are you when you had your first relationship? Then
I've never had a relationship.
Oh,
probably the biggest challenge and area of sadness of my life. But yeah, I've dated in recent years, but I've never had a relationship.
When you first started dating, you said that you were conditioned. I totally get that too. Marry a Black woman. Oh, also newsflash, everyone, he's Black.
Surprise!
I think they got the gay when you said you were sassy.
Like saucy was the word I used.
Oh, saucy. Okay, maybe you said saucy. Either way, when did you first start going on dates then with men or with boys? Because you were younger, I suppose.
Really in my 20s, there was a lot of just like hookups, and not by choice. Like,
so not in high school at all. You didn't.
No. Like I didn't even date girls in high. Like I had crushes on girls, but like there was this girl that I really liked and she told me that I was like fat and like to leave her alone. And I was like, I smiled at her and I was like, oh, I don't like you. And it's kind of just like died inside. And for a long time, I couldn't tell people that I had crushes on them through high school. And also like, I wasn't going to tell a guy that I had crushes on them in high school at all. So it was mostly girls. And I lost someone when I was in college who was very important to me, and that changed how I went through life. Like I started to like, if I had a crush, I let that person know. But that started like in college. But I got rejected a lot, all through my 20s. And I think like one of my first dates was when I was like 24, 25, like one of my first real dates. We met doing background work. I didn't even realize it was a date. And I was like kind of excited to find out. I was like, oh, this is a date.
I've been on some of those dates where you're on the date about halfway through and you're like, oh shit, I think this is
cool.
a date.
Like, I think he likes me. Cool. And that was like really cool. He was very sweet. It just wasn't a match. And I see him and his husband on like Instagram. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
But kind of my narrative didn't change until 2017. That's when I started to date more regularly.
Was your family okay when you came out to them? How did that go?
It was a sermon that made me tell my parents that because the pastor was like, you should be able to tell your parents anything. And I just felt like he was just talking like straight to me. And I've been just dealing with it on my own. And I was going to a Christian college actually in North Georgia called Berry College. And that summer I checked out every book about homosexuality that they had, which was more than I thought that a Christian college in North Georgia would have. But I sat down and I made my peace with it. And I was like, oh, like, I'm not a sinner. Like this is how God made me and he loves me. And you can choose to do something else, but this is what I choose to believe because I have evidence that supports this. And so then I went to my parents after the sermon and I was like, I'm bisexual. I thought I wanted to be bisexual desperately. A lot of gay men do it first. And they said that they loved me still, but not to tell anyone. So for like the next year, and because they were helping me financially in college as well, because I transferred, so I lost my scholarship. They were helping me out. So I just felt obligated to like not tell anyone. And that year was terrible. And then after a year, I was like, I'm telling everybody. And I just went around the theater department telling people that I was gay, which is like the safest place to tell people that you are gay. Cause they're like, oh my God, no. And they're like, okay, cool, whatever. And then after that in California, I just told people. So like I was out in my personal life, but my career felt like the wall. Like I was afraid to come out as an actor because I felt like it would limit my possibilities. And I struggled for acting in a long time because I didn't have dating experience, and I didn't know, I felt every time I tried to act straight, I lost my charisma. And I couldn't figure out like how to break through that for a really long time.
How did you?
Eventually I got really tired of feeling trapped in my own existence. And when I turned 30, I was like, I'm just going to post on Facebook that I'm gay, and like, I'm just going to be openly gay in all facets. What's happening with my words today?
I don't know, but I'm loving it.
I've been writing poetry all day. I think my brain is just spinning.
Look, we are in a pandemic and there are no rules, honey.
Anything can happen. Facets. And I just posted on Facebook and I was like, hey, like I'm gay. And I just been like 100% openly gay ever since then. And that's when, like I booked my first TV job shortly after that.
So have you found it to be any bit of a trouble at all in getting gigs, or?
I think everybody's different, and everybody has their own personal acting journey. If you're going to be an actor, I don't want to be an actor who does it all. I have no interest in that. Like, I have no interest to win an Oscar or an Emmy. If I do, I'll take it. But like, I want to do like family friendly stuff, and I want to do like gay content. Like, so for me, it's been great because like, it's aligned me with like stuff that I want to do. Cause I started a book cause I want to play gay roles. A lot of my stuff that I booked has been, roles as gay characters.
Do you think they're getting better, they being Hollywood or cinema at large, in bringing in people who are actually gay or even trans to play those kinds of characters? Because historically, of course, it's been straight people playing those characters.
I think it's a mix. I know I lived, my first roommate in my current apartment was an actor. He still is one. He's alive. I don't know why I said was. He is an actor. And
he's dead to me.
He's dead to me though, but he's straight and he booked a lot of gay parts. So I know that like they're still calling people in, and I love them, and like I want them to book work. And I'm not one of those gay people who's like up in arms about straight people playing gay roles. I just want there to be equal opportunity, people being called in. So I just want to be invited into the room, and then if you cast a straight person, so be it.
Based on work, right?
Yeah. My problem is like when you're not inviting gay people into the room, and it's just like, well, that's not fair. Because I'm not getting called in for a lot of straight roles. I think it's just equal opportunity is what I hope is getting better.
What about as a Black man being called into roles? Because I think that's starting to get a tiny bit, they're finally taking notice, right? That diverse characters, diverse casting, and even maybe historically white roles is okay. And guess what? They'll still make money.
It really is. How do I put this? It's been an issue for me in my acting career. Like I moved here and I wanted to be an actor, and I went to acting school, and I saw all these roles that I wasn't suitable for. Like I was like, I don't play basketball, I don't rap, I don't wear saggy jeans. And like my agent sent me out for like a Nigerian prince once, and I was like, I'm too light. Like I don't look Nigerian.
They just ask you to send an email telling them that they have $10 million.
They'll do it. And then I noticed that like in the gay community, like with gay roles, like I was booking a lot of like gay Black actor stuff, and it was all so one-dimensional. And it was really upsetting because like I grew up watching gay TV shows and gay movies, and it was always like a Caucasian person, and that was the lead, and they had the romantic story, like they had the love life. There's always like a Black friend who was just like one-dimensional, going like, that's right, girl, live your truth. And like they were hilarious, but they didn't have a full life. And I got to a point in my own life and I realized I'm living the one-dimensional like Black gay character that they keep writing in TV shows. And I was like, I'm done with this. I want to be the leading man of my own story and in gay cinema. And I made I made that shift. I made that shift in both my life and in my career.
When you were younger and understanding your sexuality, and I mean also being Black, so was your community growing up, was it multiracial, or was it a Black community, or was it mostly white?
You mean like my neighborhood?
Yeah.
I went to school, church, and Walmart. Like that was, I'm not an overly exciting person, and like that's all I needed. And so Walmart wasn't my community, but between school and church, like church was all Black, and at school it was a mix. It was predominantly Caucasian. There was a large enough African American community, but because I was gifted, I was around more Caucasian students than African American students. Like I think there were only about, I want to say 2-3 other African American students in the gifted program. Mm. But in the chorus, which was my family, my high school chorus was my absolute family. That's where it was a melting pot. Like it was like Black and white, and I had a lot of friends of different races. I've always felt like an outsider in both communities in terms of, and I was just an outsider in general, like as being gay in the Black community, I felt like I didn't fit in, and also being just super straight edge, like just super like clean cut and like not cussing and not doing drugs. And then in the gay community, being Black, I got rejected a lot because of my race. And I didn't feel like I belonged there either. And it was maybe when I was like 33 that I was like, it's okay that you don't belong in either, and giving myself permission just to just be myself and not feel the need to be mad about it.
I've read in a lot of books about LGBTQ and race, the intersection of that. Yeah, that it is, I don't want to say frowned upon in the Black culture, but it's not as.
No, it is.
Would you say? I mean, I don't know the term to use exactly, but it seems like it's more of an outsider thing, and you actually get shamed.
Yeah, no, because you have two things going on primarily in the Black community, and it's hyper masculinity and it's like hyper Christianity. So like, let's say a large part of the Black community. So if you're like a gay person, and it's getting better, and like, I know it's getting better, but like growing up and like around that, like I used to get anxious going to the barber shop because my mom cut my hair for years, and going to like a Black barber, the way hearing how they talked, and just like, I felt like I should not let anybody know that I'm gay because I won't be accepted. I went to one where they actually like made fun of a gay person on like a cell phone. They were watching like a video, and I never went back because I was like, that made me so uncomfortable. Mm.
And it's hard too when you're trying to figure out who you are, because as we discover who we are, we look to others to mirror back at us and all that, and also television. So if there's not a lot of Black representation on television when you and I were growing up. Obviously, there was the handfuls of like the Good Times and the Cosbys and that kind of stuff, but not a spectrum, as you so well put it, and certainly not a lot of well-developed gay characters, as you put it. In fact, I would say that the sidekick gay friend was usually a person of color in the like romantic comedies, mm-hmm. Which gives it an extra like weird sort of creepy level that why is that the person there to entertain you? Why is that the clown person, It's
actually weird because like one of my white gay friends brought it to my attention. Because I was like, oh my, you're right. Like, as a matter of fact, what's his name right now? Like Billy Porter. Mm. He's like having such a huge like time right now. But I first saw him in like Broken Hearts Club, which is one of my favorite movies. But like that's the part that he played. He was just like the funny Black gay who was going through a breakup who got laughs, but the love story was like a bunch of straight people. There's a white straight people playing gay, and I was like, I can't wait to move to West Hollywood. You say that you've never been in love, I had been in love.
Oh, you've been in love. You've never had a serious relationship. All right, let's talk about those two things. Why are they discongruent?
I don't know if you know this, but you can love someone without them loving you back, because I've learned that.
Oh my God, I knew it.
The hard way.
Real talk with Navaris and Susan.
Yeah, we're going to get real and we're going to get into it. I actually fell in love with someone for the first time a year ago before quarantine. And it was, I always wonder if I'd been in love before, because I had crushes and infatuations, and I really wanted people, and I had been dating a little bit, but I met this person, and we were, after a few days, like to be honest, like from a logical standpoint, I was like, this is probably not love, but like we were over his friend's house and he was playing the piano. She was playing the piano, he was singing, and they were singing together. And this almost like a breeze moved through my soul. And it was like, I love this person. I love this person before, and I always will love this person. And I was like, not sharing that right now, because that feels too soon, and don't want to scare him away.
Wait till the bridge.
wait till the bridge to get that out. But it was like, we went through so much together in like just 2 months, and it destroyed my life. Like it actually like destroyed I'm still going through it. Like it's like the longest dark night of the soul. But like, I've never loved someone so unconditionally before, knowing that it's not reciprocated. It's been hard. I'm going to cry. But yeah. And thing is, like, he liked me, and he should have, like, he thought I looked like a supermodel, which I'm pretty close.
Hey, I've seen your ads, honey.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
We really got along. The thing that it wasn't me that wasn't ready. Like he wasn't, like he didn't love him. He didn't love himself. And like, I see everything so clearly, and it's more just like this anger at the universe for why it didn't work out. But I'm moving past it, and I'm been Zoom dating, and I met a new guy, and then like he's talking to somebody else. So that's a new disappointment. And so it's just like a lot of disappointment in the past year, but I keep putting myself out there. That's all you can do, I guess.
Yeah, that's all you can do. What is your ideal guy? What's he like?
And that's the big thing. I feel like I tell like the longest answers to your questions.
Hope so. That's what we like around here.
In 2018, the year that I first met this guy before he ghosted me the first time, I was helping a friend with a pilot presentation, and it was like dating advice plus a free second reading. And the reading was terrible. There was nothing correct in the reading. But I asked the woman to give me like advice for my career. She gave me advice for my teaching career. And I was like, I don't need advice for my teaching career, my acting career. I was so just like, oh, this woman. But she gave me these like positive thoughts to think throughout the day. So every 2 hours, I get like a positive thought. And she also told me to write a list of my dream guy. And so I wrote that list out. And that's why when I met that guy, I knew that like it was him, because he matched everything on that list except for the first thing, which was like the ability to love. But besides that, he was perfect. I mean, it's weird because all I did was I went through like all the guys that I had dated, and I was like, I just wrote down what I liked about them. I was like, okay, I liked Kevin's creativity. I like Luke's financial stability. I like this person's, sense of humor. And sweetness is a big thing for me. Open communication, trust. Someone, and what I realized kind of recently, because I've been doing something called the Gene Keys. I think we talked about this outside of the podcast. But like a big thing for me, knowing that I like someone, is a sense of timelessness. Like if I can be with that person and we just lose track of time, and I feel like I'm in flow, like that's when I know that I like someone. And it's what I'm looking for in my life, in my work, and in my romantic relationship, is that sense of timelessness. So the hard part is like when I find that person where I feel that timelessness, and then it doesn't work out. Yeah,
that's a really great way to put it, a sense of timelessness and the flow where you just be with someone.
Yeah.
And especially because many of us we were raised up growing up to be conditioned in a sense of drama from our parents or our siblings or our first relationships, or even things we saw on TV, right? A good romantic comedy has a lot of drama. And thinking that that's what love looks like.
I was went on a run yesterday. I really don't, when I say yesterday, I don't mean it because I have no concept of time anymore since quarantine. It could have been in the past year. But I was going on a run and I was like, I don't want a great love. Like, I don't want a love that you see on a movie where it's like epic stakes. I just want a simple, like mundane, I meet, they last through the end. There's no tragic ups and downs. I was just thinking that the other day.
I think sense of humor, being able to laugh with each other is huge because, man, this world it can be a shit show, and to be able to laugh and poke fun at each other, like in a sweet way, not a mean way, but that kind of thing. I love that. Having
a playmate, like, is like,
yeah, the play thing, like being a kid again,
yeah,
being able to play and not feeling judged, the vulnerability of it all.
Yeah,
that's a tricky thing to think. Yeah, and I think that the fact that you wrote that out is so smart. I have one too. I have one of those. It's, I think, 7 or 8 pages long, but there's nothing on there that's insane. It's like, is kind to human beings, respects animals and children, and isn't mean to waiters or waitresses, things like that. Where, as you say, as you go through dating, you pick, what did I not like or what did I like about someone, and incorporate that in. And, at the end of 7 or 8 pages, it's not a superhero. It's just a decent human being. It's just a decent human being.
But it's also just values. Because, like, finding someone that values what you value is super important. Because there are people who don't value what I value, but they're still decent, but I wouldn't want to date them, So it's just like, definitely want a decent human being, 100%.
Does religion figure in for you?
I don't care. Like, if they don't care, I don't care. I'm the guy that I like right now. We still talk, even though he's talking to someone else. Like, we don't talk. They're talking. We're just talking. We have like the weirdest conversations about like reincarnation and like aliens and like, are we human or just like, awareness?
Or are we the answer?
Yeah, or we the answer. And like, I love it. Like, I love talking to him about that stuff, because we're both spiritual. Like, we both share this spirituality that like a year ago it probably wouldn't have made sense to me, but after everything that happened with the other guy, like, it got me to a place where I could relate to this other person at this level.
I love deep talks about nothing. That's one of my favorite things in the whole world.
Yeah. That's probably why you started this podcast.
I mean, that's not totally wrong. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I started the podcast, but yeah, I do. I love having conversations about things that interest people. That is one of my most favorite things in the whole world. Where do you stand with God?
For a long time, I just told myself that God is love. Like, that's all that I needed. That God is love, and I don't care what you call him. Call him God, or it would be weird to me if God got upset if you called him by like different names. Like, just weird. But then later it was like, oh, God is love and God is like inside of us. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, God is in us too. So we don't have to like, that's some crazy old man who's just being whatever, but he's like, love is inside of us. And then recently I'm reading this book, Reality Unveiled. And the writer proposed this ideal where it's like, there was just a spirit of love that existed before the universe began. And then it just kind of like, it was just nothing but love, but it was like unpotentiated love. Like, it was like, there was no this or that. So it had nothing to give the love to. So it split itself into infinite creatures and things. And that's why we're here, because we're all just that original being experiencing love in different ways.
Is that the plot to Hedwig and the Angry Inch?
It might be. I've never seen that musical.
I'm being facetious, but it kind of is along that. I remember there was a section. You have to watch it. It's fantastic. There's a section in Hedwig and the Angry Inch that is describes love and soulmate kind of stuff, and it just reminded me of that. Yeah. You've been doing hypnosis. I did that as well with our mutual friend, Rachel Kais, who's a phenomenal hypnotherapist.
I love Rachel.
Yeah. She and I did a session. We stuck it up on YouTube and it was hilarious and great. I mean, not hilarious as in it wasn't, you know what I'm saying. Anyway.
It's fascinating to watch. I watched it.
I thought it was fascinating to experience. How have you found all of that to be in your growth and in your learning about who you are?
I mean, for me, like, I was in a lot of pain over the past few months, like after getting my heart broken and my appendix removed and like losing my financial stability and like everything happening with coronavirus. Like, and I was trying to find my way out of it. Like I was trying to like create art and like Zoom date and all this. And the harder I tried to get out of it, like it got so bad. I would wake up with like a hot poker of sadness, like a physical sensation, like that. Like it wasn't even my mind couldn't will it because it was like before my mind woke up. Like it was just living inside of me, and I was desperate. And I saw your video. Actually, I saw you post your video on Facebook about hypnosis, and I was like, let me see if I could get me some of that. And it's like I took therapy. I tried everything. It's the only thing that helped me like get away from that debilitating pain. Like it was unbearable. So I'm eternally. I almost. Like this is my second time wanting to cry during this talk because like I am eternally grateful to Rachel for helping me. I think it's fun. I never thought I would do it, but it's been so helpful.
You know, it's when I've had four. I've done 4 sessions. So I've done 2 with Rachel and then 2 with the person that taught Rachel or the head of the school, Lisa. I had both of them on the podcast. But what's funny is I had Rachel on the podcast a couple of years back when this wasn't even a thing yet for her. But the first time I did it was with Rachel, and you know how you go down the staircase? Did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So walking down the staircase, and my childhood was complicated, right? Like there was some stuff, trauma and all that. And I got to the bottom of the staircase and I was frozen, and it was weird because it's all happening in your brain, right? You're seeing this stuff, and she's on the Zoom, and I'm saying, sort of freaking out right now about going through this door. I don't know why. I mean, I know all the things that I've experienced. I don't know what could possibly be behind, And so she was great about calming me down and making me feel really safe, which I think is important for things like this. And then I opened the door, and holy moly, what an experience. It was phenomenal. And I ran around telling everyone to do it. Like, you have to do this hypnotherapy. It is incredible.
Was that the past life one?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then Lisa, as I mentioned, she and I did 2 on video for the school itself. It's funny because she said, do you want to do this video and we'll use it to teach students? And I said, sure, of course. So we did it, and it was so wackadoodle that she's like, do you want to do another one? I was like, sure.
That's awesome.
I want to I have the audios from them. I would love to get the video from them because I get demonstrative during it, as you know, from watching the video that Rachel and I did. So anyway, I love it. Can you share anything that, nothing sacred, but just something that inspired you or that you remember that was mind-boggling for you?
I don't think anything's sacred, to be honest. Like I'll share anything at the drop of a hat. But I think it was interesting you were talking about your experience, and mine was different. Like my first session with like Rachel, I felt very powerful. Like she would tell me to go downstairs, and I would like turn it into a slide, and then like she'd be like this, and I was like, oh, I'm flying. Like I was just like, I felt like I defied the constraints of reality when I was like inside my mind. We did a past life regression later. She wanted to like wait for me, and it was one of the first door that I went through. I walked out, and there was like this really dark blue sky, and then I saw like the bushes, and there was like fire coming up, and I looked down, and I was like an African elder, and I couldn't figure out if I was like male or woman. Like I just didn't know. And I feel like in that culture, there wasn't the same distinction between gender, because I really couldn't like place it. But then I figured out that I was like a man, that I lost my wife, and like my children was celebrating her life around the fireplace. And I was so proud of my children. Like I really
yeah, you really feel
lived at this moment.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful. And, you know, Rachel did the caveat as like, you know, they could have really happened, or it could be just like, you know, something in your life manifesting through this thing. And for me, it felt like me teaching my students at Groundlings. But like, I think it's both, that like in a weird way, like that moment.
It's so freaking real though, you know, it's so vivid and so real. So you've done different kinds. You've done hypnotherapy that's more just for self-care, and then you've done the past life. I've only done the past life stuff.
And past life, inner child. Sometimes she doesn't even tell me what like script that she's doing. She's like, we'll just talk first, and then she'll ask me like, what do you kind of like want to like work on today? Yeah. And then I just trust her, and we do energy work too.
Yeah, she's a true natural talent at it, I think. Yeah. I'm glad that it's helped so much for you too.
Yeah, me too. It's better. Last week was a hard week. Just like I felt blocked by like the universe. I don't know if you ever feel like that. I don't know.
Sure do.
But because like, literally the weekend before, I just spent a bunch of days like meditating and like listening to like tone frequencies to raise my vibrations. I have all these bracelets now that I'm wearing, each with a different purpose, and like using oils, and just thinking like, okay, like this guy is gonna work out between us, and like money is coming in, and all these thoughts. And like the week after, like literally one of the oils is called like lucky B word oil. I still don't cuss, but you figure out it's B word, you know, lucky, you get it. Great.
I got it.
Yeah, you get it. You can say it for your audience if they can't figure it out. Yeah, there it is. So I'm using this oil to like bring in fortune, and like my stimulus didn't come in. A package was lost in the mail. The guy told me he was dating somebody else. The other guy that I was going on dates with, just to be open to possibilities, was like, also no. And then just like, my test results didn't come in. Like everything just like didn't happen. I couldn't get internet installed. Like every single thing that like was that
you had willed. I wonder.
But then I had this peace. Like I was just like had this peace, and I know that Rachel is responsible for that, or the work that we've been doing is responsible for that.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't want to.
No. I mean, technically, I cut you off, so it's all fair game. Gosh darn it! When you manifest things, it's funny. I used to just be like, "This is what I want. This is what I want," and now I'm more like, I'm going to ask permission for something, and is it okay? And it's weird. Sometimes I hear, "Nope, that's not for you today." So it is a weird place to be, because the universe has a divine order to it, in my humble opinion. And as the Rolling Stones like to point out, you can't always get what you want. So it's a weird, that feeling of having respect for this great manifesting power, and not knowing, is this the day or not?
You know, it's really overwhelming. I think that's part of the reason why I was in so much pain in the past year, because I got a lot of conflicting information. You know, I'll get things like, you are the creator of your universe. Like, think it will happen. And then I got like, oh, divine timing's at play. And then, you know, you have to like release and let go and surrender. And so like one day I would wake up and I would be like, today's the day I'm scripting, and I'm going to write it out 55 times for 5 days in a row. And the next day I'd be like, today I'm surrendering. And then like, I feel like I was so overwhelmed by different ways of even like different ways of even just like manifesting. And like, I think I reached out to a psychic, and I asked her a question about the guy that like I had feelings for. And I did it in a way, I phrased it in a way to be like, to show that like I was certain that it was going to happen. And then she made me feel bad about that. She was like, you know, the way that you're phrasing this is like, you know, you're not open to whatever. And I was like, I can't win. Like everything I do.
It does feel that way. And, you know, we're learning as we go as well, right? Yeah. If everything came to us, we'd be assholes. We would never learn anything. So there's that problem. I just realized when you said the word manifest, I'm like, I wonder if that came from manna as in bread and fest as in feast. Feasting on the bountiful bread is the thing where Jesus turned all the multitudes of loaves, you know? I wonder if that's where that came from. I'm going to have to look that up later, because I'm curious about that.
I always think of manna as hand, but you're probably right.
Oh, I have no idea. It just popped in my head, but I'm definitely going to look it up later.
I'm thinking that because like, why do I think mana means hand?
I don't know. Manicure, probably.
Mm.
Yeah. So maybe a manicure is actually putting cute little decals on the loaf of bread.
I think there's definitely a hand connotation with mana. What I do,
the hand that feeds you, man. I don't know. I mean, this is all.
Yeah, hand that feeds you.
We gotta look this up later for sure.
What I do now is I visualize and I try to do it. I never say want or need.
Right.
I was like, I'm grateful for this happening.
Yeah.
And then I just try to feel the feeling, and then I try to like let it go and get on my day. The hard part is just trying to find joy in my day during a pandemic.
I think the confusing part too is that, you think, as I think, okay, this is what I think I'm ready for, or I need, or is okay or good for me. And especially when it comes to other people, like I have a crush on so-and-so. They would be perfect. We'd be so perfect together. But I have no idea what the heck that person is going through in their private hell, just like they don't know what's going on in my private hell. And those two might not mesh very well.
Mine's not quite the same. It's like, it's not even like, it's almost like an issue with the way the system's built, like how the universe is designed, like
by a joker.
And it's been a process, because I remember what happened between me and the guy was that like, he really liked me, but then he chose someone who was just like me, but he said he wasn't as good enough as me. And I spent a really long time, like years, building up my self-esteem, working out, and I hate working out, and just sacrificing just to get to a place where like, so that I would be open to and ready to have like a boyfriend. And when we're together, it felt like heaven. And then for him to look at me at like my full potentialized self and go like, hey, like you're too good for me. I just cracked on a soul level. And I went like, what do you want from a universe? Because if you want, I will just move to the Midwest and I'll just eat like fast food until I die. If that's your will, let me know, because I'm doing all this hard work, and what's the point of it? Like, I really didn't even want to go toward my dreams anymore, because I was like, what's the point of going towards my dream if like I want someone to share my life with, not just anyone, but someone who makes me feel that sense of like magic. And so when he said that, like, I wasn't mad at him. I wasn't mad at myself. I wasn't even mad at like the other guy. It was just anger at the thing I could not touch. Like whatever allowed all of that to happen, I was really angry at it. And then I'm doing all this spiritual work over in the past year, and I'm reading this Gene Keys, and then just like, don't be a victim. And I was like having a hard time with that, because I'm like, I'm being punished. Like I'm being punished for being good. And I'm reading that book, and Reality Unveiled, and it's like, according to that guy's theory, our souls chose to take this journey for a reason. So in that sense, I'm not the victim, because like when my soul reincarnated into this life, it chose this life so that I could learn the lesson to get to whatever soul level it needs to get to next. So that made me a little less angry, because it wasn't like God punishing me for being good. It was my higher self choosing this life for me to learn whatever lesson 38 years of being single was supposed to teach you. Because I tell you, I don't know what else I'm supposed to learn about myself, because I'm pretty good on that front. Yeah. And it's frustrating, because I am who I want to be. So it's trying to find out like what lesson I'm supposed to learn in all of this, which I guess it's patience. Yeah.
Have you had flings, like sexual flings that are just for fun?
Yeah. I mean, that was most of my 20s. Well, they weren't for fun, like, because my 20s was like a mix of like rejection and then like just weird relation. Like I had a straight guy who was my like hookup for a while, and I kept turning him down because I was like, I want a boyfriend. And I'm like, what were you doing? He was hot. Like, right away, as long as, okay, here's the thing. Hot dish. So like at the time I was 25 and he was older, and he had these broad shoulders. He would just take up all of my apartment with like his man energy. And like, I don't know how old he was, but like he was straight, and I don't care. Like, whatever you feel comfortable as long as you're just having sex with me, I really don't care. I was like, fine, cool. You're straight, so I'm out. Let's do it. And now I think he's like openly gay, because I've seen him like on Facebook. He's one of the gays that went to like another country during like New Year's and like partied and was like insensitive. I'm like, I'm glad that you finally embraced your gayness and decided to be like just an open a-hole. I think he is. I think he's finally
one of the Ibiza gays.
Yeah,
Went off to Ibiza for.
He didn't go to Puerto Vallarta, but he went to Rio. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, Puerto Vallarta is that. There's my friend Kalev just showed me that Instagram of it's called like Pandemic Gays or something, where they're showing all the people on their trips and things.
So gross. But yeah, I've had flings, but flings aren't what I really want. There's a difference between like having sex with somebody and like.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah, I've slept with. That's the thing when people tell me there's like, oh, like the guy that you're with, he just like said things. I was like, I've slept with guys who are gorgeous, like some of the most beautiful guys I live in LA. I don't know if you know that, but like beautiful men, and felt nothing. And it's like, to have sex with somebody that you feel something for.
Yeah, it's a big
I'll
deal.
choose that over the most beautiful man in the world.
Yeah, because you're a beautiful person, so you're sensitive and have that part of you that lights up when somebody else is reflecting light back at you.
Yeah.
Talk about the gene keys a second, because you, I think, was it you or Rachel that taught me about those at first?
I think Rachel may have mentioned it first, but I think I talked, because I told Rachel about it. But I think she mentioned it before we talked about it. But yeah, a friend turned me on to it because he was also trying to help me deal with the fact that the guy I have feelings for is with somebody else in a different state. And he was like, it sounds like you're actually like I have like a healthy mindset. Like, I do everything therapists say you're supposed to do, but I'm like, I'm still sad. My therapist was like, yeah, I don't know what to do for you. He was like, I don't know what to do either. Try the gene keys. And I was like, fine. And so I go to this website and you put in your birth date and time of place of birth. And it sounds very like astrological, but it's more than that. It kind of gives you like a map of yourself. And I was listening to it and it was just so spot on. Like, it was uncanny with like my personality traits and what I've been going through. And like all year long, I kept getting things to like, work on your shadow work, like do shadow work. And I would like look it up and I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, and then the gene keys tells you like your shadow frequency, your good frequency. And like the whole point is to rise from your shadow frequency to your gift frequency. So like just knowing that like patience is actually like impatience is a shadow frequency for me that's in my love like area. I'm like, okay, that's a lesson that, because when things were going great with the guy that like I was in love with, I was being so patient. And as soon as he told me that he liked somebody else, it went away entirely. And I didn't have the self-knowledge to know like that I was even in a shadow. I just felt the pain. But even during like the darkest moment of quarantine last year, it was like a different kind of death. It wasn't a physical death that I was worried about. It was like the death of this person that I really like. Like, I like my kindness and I like my hope and I like all of that. And just like feeling that was being lost and in jeopardy because like I couldn't find my way out of the darkness.
Also, when somebody says to you that you have presented yourself, like, I care for you, and they come back and say, well, I care for you too, but you're too good for me, or I'm broken, or whatever. It's just like, it leaves you to, even in a state of feeling pretty grounded and good about yourself, they're still like, well, fuck, am I not attractive enough? Am I not sexy enough? Am I not smart enough?
It's been so helpful just to know like what specifically I can work on, because mine is tricky. Like, mine isn't stuff like greed and like sloth, and now that I like this new guy and he's talking to somebody else, like, I'm able to go like, I can be patient. It may work out, it may not work out, but I'm not having another like identity crisis and it's just like, oh, being patient and not forcing your dreams, but like allowing them to come to you. I was like, oh,
give me sloth any day.
I know, like I can work on sloth. I can be less greedy. Just give me one boyfriend.
I'll put links on heyhumanpodcast.com for the Gene Keys too, because I think on that links page, I think it's an interesting thing for sure.
It really is, yeah.
To dig in. I think I sent you mine. Mine seemed pretty appropriate as well. It was interesting. All that stuff fascinates me.
And I feel like when I study it, like, because I kind of put it down for a bit just to do some writing. But when I was like, I spent one day just reading it and listening to it. And like, I booked an acting job the same day. And I was like, maybe I should just not do anything but just study the Gene Keys. I mean, that's the ticket.
Have you been doing a lot of auditions on Zoom?
No, I actually haven't done any Zoom auditions. All mine have been self-tapes.
Oh, they've been self-tapes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is a challenge when you live by yourself. But
if you ever need somebody to read, I have done that for some of my other actor friends, and I love it. I think it's a blast.
I love it too.
Yeah. So
it's just like one of the things where like you get the audition like day of, you can do it like that night, and you're just like,
well, you can text me anytime. If I'm available, I will happily help. Just read the other lines and stuff.
I appreciate that. I love reading also. I used to love reading in our class.
Yeah. It'll be interesting when things open up again to go back into class and see where my mindset is. I was so nervous in the beginning. Oh my gosh, I was so nervous. And
it was really cool to watch you. It was really
nervous?
Cool because I just didn't know that you were nervous because like I didn't know you very well. So I just thought you were like really quiet. And then once you just became comfortable, like this really beautiful, just like sense of humor and light just kind of came through. That really surprised me because I was like, I thought you were so quiet. But I think you're like me in the sense my teachers always thought that I was a blossomer. Like every year they'd be like, you really blossomed over the year. I was like, no, I'm just kind of quiet at first.
Yeah, I'm shy and quiet at first, which nobody ever believes me. But it was intimidating because I remember I stepped into class and watching many of you who were so excelled in comparison. And I'm one of those people, like I want to do everything perfectly the first time, even though I've learned over the years to give myself space. But I was proud of myself just from my ridiculousness in the beginning to where I got right before pandemic. I felt like I had grown so much in just that short amount of time. I still had, eons to go, but I don't know if you were there when we did that, when the guest teacher came in, and that was a really fun day. And I got to be a therapist from Glee, and he had us run through our thing and we did it, and that was great. And then he said, okay, now I want you to really kind of gussy up the comedy of the character. Oh my God, I had so much fun with that. And I felt so alive. And like, I really, that's my place. Like, oh, I'm a comedic actress. Like, that's my thing, I think, probably. Quirky.
Yeah, I do remember that day.
Oh, you were there? I couldn't remember if you were there now.
Was it Deshaun Terry? Was that his name?
Yeah. Yeah. Such a blast. How can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Twitter,
Tinder.
It's all the same name, Navaris Darson. So if it's written out, it's just Navaris Darson, lowercase.
NAVARISDARSON.
Perfect.
Thank you. I think you're amazing, and I love you, and I appreciate that you said yes when I said be on the show.
I adore you, and I just I'm sure everybody who listens know this already, but like you're one of the kindest, most wonderful people I've ever met. So I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. Now you make me cry. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I will see you at some time in real life, but I'm always available on the texties and the Zoomsies and all that kind of stuff. So
Samesies. I like your stuff on Twitter.
Yay. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Rate and review Hey Human on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks. Bye.